lack of talent. No, I'm not talking about the colleague you do not like. That's not the topic here today. Topic here today is what you probably now assume, and you're right with that. There is the lack of talent. And the question is, how do you solve this issue in the year 2024? A lack of talent on the market, lack of people on the market as well. It's more obvious than ever. And what you probably now say is, well, we do job ads, and here we are. Job ads are okay-ish. But not really what solves the issue in today's times. Job ads are okay, but they only appeal to people who are actively seeking out for jobs. Depending on what kind of job you're advertising for, you normally appeal to a maximum of 30% of the job market. In certain industries, for example, IT, you probably have less than 10% of the people who are actively looking for the jobs. And sometimes there are people that where there's a reason that they are always actively looking for a job, and you probably do not want to hire them. So the question is, how do you solve the talent issue in this year, 2024? And of course, there are three aspects. You have to find the talent, and you have to win them, that they actually want to work with you, and that you have to hold them. So you have to retain them, that they actually say, yes, that's an organization where I like to keep working in the foreseeable future. So let's get to the first step, how to find talent. Job ads are okay, but I told you already, they are okay-ish. You're appealing to the actively looking people, nothing more, nothing less. And you probably get something in there. But when you're in a high demand field, when you say you're looking for IT technicians who are able to do ERP work with a specialization in SAP, and you do job ads, good luck. These people are not looking actively for a job. And if they do, they're probably not very good. So there are at least, when you now say, by the way, oh, we do posters, which is also called out-of-home campaigns, fine, can work. But we're focusing on two additional methods here. One is the so-called lead ad, LEAD. The lead ad is something that you probably already saw on social media. So you maybe see on Facebook or on Instagram, well, we're looking for XYZ. Click here when you're interested. And then you click on it, and suddenly you see questions popping up where they say, do you have a driver's license? Are you willing to travel at least 4 days a month? Are you willing to work in shifts? And when you answer the right way, you suddenly can enter your contact data, but not before that. That's exactly what the lead ad does. So first, the lead ad has the big advantage that you can very narrowly target down. Normally, job ads you can only do by postcode or similar. It's very difficult to actually find the right people there, at least right now. The lead ad can be targeted very narrowly to certain groups, to certain regions, even to certain buildings, which is great for you to narrow down, probably to target your competitors or to target certain areas where people travel. There are different aspects that you can take into consideration here. And also, you have a lot less of applicants who do not fit your description. So, for example, when you say we have a position where people have to work in shifts, then, of course, you should ask that before they even apply. When you say people need to be able to drive because they're in the field out there, so you need to ask for a driver's license. And when you say, well, we have some international travel, approximately 6 weeks a year, just random number here, then you should ask that as well, because you don't want to sit there, meet with someone either in person or online, and after 30 seconds find out they're not a fit anyway. So very important here is when you use the lead ad, you can sort out the people who are not the right fit and get to the contact point where, because when they answer the question in the right way, you normally say up to 3 questions, okay, up to 5 might work. Normally between 3 and 5 people just drop out due to too many questions. You then get the lead and you have to contact that lead. And by the way, when you now say, sorry, no, we have a recruiting system. And when the lead is not in there, I'm not going to download Excel files from somewhere. So congratulations when you have that attitude where you say, our process is more important than the result. Good luck in the future. The talent market at the moment is nowhere near having that arrogance, and I unfortunately have to call it that way, that arrogance towards people who are not looking for jobs, but who are bombarded by job offers automatically on LinkedIn or any other platform. So when you say, oh, sorry, our very special recruiting platform, which we designed by ourselves, which has no API or any connection to the outside world, and it has to work with that, and if it doesn't, oh, by the way, we don't pay for that, then you probably will have a heart awakening and a not so nice one in 2024. The result is more important. Also, when you say you have no leads in your recruiting software at the moment that you can contact to work for you, then you probably should look at any lead source you can get. When you now say, hey, can we just do more than the lead ad? Yes, there's another piece which is called programmatic advertising. So, for example, when you let's say you look into a magazine, you go to the Financial Times, and suddenly you see there's a banner advertising where they say, we're looking for consultants. And the banner looks nice, and you think that's interesting, and you click on that. That might be, most likely will be programmatic advertising. And it means that someone targeted you deliberately because they, of course, know your browser history, they use cookies, and that's, of course, a way how to track people. And also, by the way, you are interested in getting good job offers, so it's also beneficial for you. You're able to track down people pretty well, including that, for example, when they say, oh, I opened it in the Financial Times on my desktop computer, but then I had to leave for work, they see the same banners or, for example, the same advertising again when they travel somewhere else, which is, of course, amazing and something which a job ad would never be able to do. So this, however, this programmatic advertising needs a so-called landing page. I am still amazed by the amount of companies who say, oh yeah, programmatic advertising, we did that, but the landing page was too pricey. When people click on the banner, they just get to our general website of the company, and then they can click on jobs, then they can click on vacancies, then they can put in the job description, and then they can search for vacancies that we have. Right. Let's just say you are on social media and you see or you're anywhere on the internet, you see an interesting product, you click on the banner and you get to the general website of a vendor with hundreds of products. What is the likelihood that you are now looking for exactly the product you saw before? Not very high, right? And that's exactly what happened with applicants as well. And the landing page is made for people to exactly land on the job that you were advertising before. So programmatic advertising, lead ad. Of course, there's more than that. I just picked out two here besides the job ads or the poster out of home campaigns. When you use them, you're already ahead of most of your competitors. That's the finding part. So how can you now win people for you? How can you make people agree on your job offer? So first, you need a quick reaction. And when you now say, and I already can hear it from some people, oh, we don't have the people to do that. No one cares. Unfortunately, I have to be unambiguously clear, no one cares. When you approach people 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks after they applied, you should not be surprised that they are not very impressed whatever you do. Because most likely 3 or 4 other competitors who took well care of them are already in their heart, so the emotional decision is made already. A quick decision means it's good when you contact them same day. It's good when you contact them on the following day when they apply on a Friday. You could do it on a Monday when no one's in the office during the weekend, or when there's a public holiday, let's say Easter, where Friday and Monday is off. Then it will be Thursday to Tuesday. However, when there is no proper reason in between, when people are in the office, same day or next day is the next business day is the rule. It's called reciprocity. When you take care of the job applicant will favor you over others in most cases. More importantly, then, after you had a quick reaction, a very timely reaction to meet. And when you then say, oh, sorry, we don't have people available, again, no one cares. When you then meet, and it should be either online or on the phone or on site, depending on what you prefer and what makes sense for the position, be clear, and I'm especially speaking to my English-speaking colleagues from the UK and the US here, stop to do an unlimited amount of rounds. There is not a single bit of scientific evidence supporting the UK or US approach of recruiting. What you need for most positions, and I'm not speaking of executives who make $250,000. Of course, you need more rounds there. Fully agree, and no one complains. But I see people who are hired on £30,000 in London on a PA position going through 8 rounds of interviews. And I'm not making this up. This is a practical case that I accompanied where the company still thinks it is the most amazing idea to do that. What you really need is round number 1, where you check if everything you talk about is roughly in agreement. So you check the working times, the work approach, where you can work, when you have to travel, what kind of prerequisites you need. And you also, of course, talk about payment, because when you don't talk about payment, it's pointless to talk about anything else when you don't agree on the financials. Round number 2 is the details. Are they able to do the job? You get into detailed approaches. What can they do? What is the way they communicate, problem solving, whatever you need for the job, or you can just ask questions about their knowledge. And then you make a decision. When you want to have round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which, by the way, is mostly based on egos of managers, pseudo managers, and wannabe managers, or any co-worker who just likes to hear themselves talking. Many of these people never were professionally trained to do interviews, but they just like to be considered an important part. And in the annual appraisal interview, they want to say, oh, I do recruiting here. I'm a crucial part. I'm a pillar of the organization. Remove the ego from recruiting. When you want to have round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or whatnot, you have to fulfill a couple of prerequisites. First, you have an amazing offer. You pay way above the market. You have way more to offer. You have the most luxurious and best job position probably in the whole city. Second, there must be an obvious need. People very quickly get when they are just sitting there talking to someone else who's only checking, do I like you or do I not like you? Might you be a danger due to your skills? And then I will say, oh, we shouldn't hire them because they're not a right fit for us. Because you saw that they are more skilled than you and you don't want to have any competitors in your office for your next job promotion. That's another reason why you need to remove ego from the recruiting process. So you have to show an unambiguously clear need. And by the way, if you expect them to show you a bit of work, so they are probably doing a probation work, which means showing up for a couple of hours or a day and work gets paid. If you expect them to do it unpaid, you have to be happy with them saying no, because work gets paid. And that's something that every reasonably thinking entrepreneur will agree on, including myself, of course. When you hire for self-employed positions, so you hire for self-employed sales partner, that's a different game. They will make the money on commission later and they can make way more money there. However, it's very important that when you expect them to work on an employed contract, you pay them for whatever they do, full stop. So that's the second part, how to win people for you. The third one, how do you actually retain them? So first, you need an excellent, which means very structured and very documented, structured and documented, and not or, a structured and documented approach to onboarding. And I tell you one line which I frequently hear, which is not onboarding. And that's the line, oh, my door is always open for you. That's not onboarding. That simply means my door is always open, but I am very busy, have no time for you. But every couple of hours, you can come in and throw a couple of questions at me, and then I may or may not be able to answer them and point you to other people or tell you just come back later. So a structured and documented approach to onboarding. Who does what, in which order, at what time, how do you document it, what is the benefit of it, and how can we check if they actually understood what they're doing? So when you only do that, you're already ahead of most competitors. Next step, you have to keep your promises. Way too often, I heard during last year, people said, this is the bonus, and then the bonus was cut or not paid at all. Or they said, this is the approach to remote work. And then they said, oh, well, you have to agree with your leader. And he's not a big fan of remote work. And working outside the country are very difficult, very complex, have to talk to compliance, might take a couple of months. So you promise something, and at the end, you do not stick to the promise. Just expect people to leave. And they will give you their notice on the last day possible, if you're unlucky, by mail, that you will only receive it by mail and that's it. And then they will also reasonably talk badly about you on, for example, Glassdoor or Kununu platforms where employers are evaluated. When you promise something and you don't stick to the promise, then you shouldn't be surprised to be called a bad employer online, because that's what you probably are. The third step is continuous education. It's your job to qualify your people to stay up to date with actual knowledge. And I mean professional training, not someone from your office stepping up with a PowerPoint slide, reading out bullet points to them, someone who has never enjoyed any proper qualification as a trainer or anything similar in the education sector. That's not qualification. That's just ego and reading out. So proper qualification is your job. Offer something and people will stay. The last bit here, and that's the most important one, are the benefits. What are the benefits that you offer? And I give you a couple of benefits. I give you a couple of aspects that might, hopefully none of you, but some of you probably will, that hopefully none of you will consider benefits. So first, coffee and water for free, that cost cent can be expected. What do you want to do? Do you want to put a meter on the tap next time in the break room? So free coffee and water, sorry, not a benefit, can be expected. Nice colleagues can be expected anyway. What do you expect? That people just go through hell just to work for you? Probably not. Flat hierarchies. When you're a small company, you obviously have flat hierarchies. When you're a large organization and claim you have flat hierarchies, people will quickly find out, no, you don't. So you don't stick to the promise, people will leave. So not a benefit. And last but not least, a fruit basket. And that became the epitome of a warning. There are published articles about how a fruit basket now is a warning sign for many when they see it in the job ad. And I don't want to say a fruit basket is bad. It's good. It's nice. And that's exactly it. It's nice to have. However, many people when they see the fruit basket in a job ad, they say when you point out to a fruit basket that much, you probably don't pay very well, because when you pay people well, they can buy apples, bananas, and whatnot by themselves. So if you're still stuck in this benefits of basic chumbawamba and not really giving anything, then you need to work on that. And then you're able to find, win, and retain people so that they work for you for a hopefully long time when you do it properly. And when you now think, well, we don't do any of that, or we don't do much of that, that's not, I mean, it's not great, but it's not bad, because you can start right away. What you need is management commitment. So senior executives need to be fully involved, including budgets, because you won't make it happen without getting money. And I wish you all the best doing so. However, there's one last tip I have to give you. And the tip is, please, please, please use agencies. I still see people who sit there, they do the job ad in Microsoft Word, they take a privately shot picture from their mobile phone, they upload anything by themselves. They don't know how to put the right regional data in there, because it's really complicated when you want to do it properly. And then without the right meta tags or tags, and when you now say, what are tags? That's exactly the problem I'm talking about. When you don't tag the whole job ad right, you won't be found anywhere. And then you just upload it and pay the list price that they say on the website. When you do that, they are going to have fireworks on the other side, because they say, we're going to see this job ad again 4 or 5 times because it's not working, and you will just reschedule the job ad for additional payment. So you pay 4 or 5 times and get a fraction of the benefit an agency could deliver to you. And I know what people will now probably will say, especially smaller companies. They say agencies are too big. We can't afford that. And that is a wrong conclusion. Large agencies for job ads buy 100,000 or more job ads in advance on 1st of January of the year, normally even earlier. So they get a massive discount on these job ads. They pass the discount on to you, and then they add additional services. So, for example, professional texting, professional photography, professional search engine optimization, professional tagging and keywording, professional regional distribution, and anything you do not need to know as an HR professional, because you do not work in IT. It's not your job to do that. And they do all of that roughly for the same price you paid before by doing it by yourself, by paying the list price on the vendor's website. Sometimes they charge slightly, but not a bit more, but you get 4-5 times more of a result. No reasonable person works in job recruiting without using agencies for their job ads. And if you do, I'm sorry to be that straightforward. No, actually not sorry. I have to be straightforward here. If you do, you're harming your organization deliberately by your own actions, and you do not want to do that. So, by the way, when you now say, because I know that this question come up, do you know an agency? Yes, I do, but I keep my podcast advertising free. So just drop me an email, and then I can tell you who to contact, because it depends on the industry, what you want to do. And then I can give you a very good recommendation, because even within agencies, I only recommend certain people, and they are highly specialized. And these people only take new clients by recommendation, because they are so well booked. Because you do not want to end up with the next person who is just selling job ads to you, who has no interest in you. You want to work with people who actually care about you and actually get the solution to more applicants done. And I'm happy to help you with that and give you a recommendation. However, when you now say we still haven't started, it's now the time to start. And with that, I wish you all the best for the year 2024. And when you now say, well, there are a couple of questions I have, and I can fully understand that. When you now say, I need to know more about lead ads, programmatic advertising, I need to know the agency or whatnot, then just drop me an email, nb@nb-networks.com. I put the email address in the show notes of this podcast, and then we just take it from there. I also will add my LinkedIn profile so we can connect on there as well. When you need something very specific, you need someone delivering training sessions, coaching, or speaking gigs on recruiting, just let me know as well. But we can also just talk about your needs, and I give you a recommendation, and there you go. I don't get a penny for these recommendations, so I'm happy to do them for you. The second recommendation I give you is to register for our leadership letter, because we do live sessions. So when you say, I want to talk to you live, that's possible, of course. Go to expert.nb-networks.com, and then we take it from there. You can register your email address there. You only get one email every Wednesday morning. It's 100% content, ad-free guarantee. And then you can join our live sessions because this is only published via that means expert.nb-networks.com. I put this link also in the show notes of this podcast. And the third step is the most important one. Apply what you heard in this podcast, because only when you apply what you heard, you will see the positive aspects in your recruiting, in your team, and in your organization. And these are obviously aspects you want to see in 2024, because otherwise you wouldn't be here listening to this podcast. I wish you all the best doing so. Let me know if I can help. Always happy to help. You have my contact data in the show notes of this podcast. Have a great and amazing week. A good start to your recruiting 2024. And at the end of this podcast, there's only one thing left for me to say. Thank you very much for your time.